Welcome back. The United Auto Workers strike against General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis has entered its fourth day. Pretty much like every other union strike, the workers are demanding increased wages, shorter work weeks, and better retirement benefits. But of course, the unions don't normally go on strike without support from at least one radical far-left lawmaker. This time it's Democrat Socialist Senator Bernie Sanders.
The fight you are waging here is not just about decent wages and working conditions and pensions in the automobile industry. It is a fight to take on corporate greed and tell the people on top this country belongs to all of us, not just a few.
It's funny because most people would argue the workers on strike are the ones getting greedy. But Sanders, who, mind you, is all about eating the rich, says that the automaker CEOs are the ones being greedy. Checks out. And now he's pushing for a 4-day work week, despite our economy and job market already being on the rocks.
We are looking at an explosion in this country of artificial intelligence and robotics. And that means that the average worker is going to be much more productive. Worker productivity is going to increase significantly. The question as a nation that we have got to ask ourselves is who is going to benefit from that increased productivity? Is all of that new income and wealth being created by worker productivity going to go to the people on top, or are workers going to benefit? So right now, in my view, I happen to believe that as a nation, we should begin a serious discussion, and the UAW is doing that, about substantially lowering the work week. People in America are stressed out for a dozen different reasons. And that's one of the reasons why life expectancy in our country is actually in decline. People are overwhelmed. They got to take care of their kids. They got to worry about healthcare. They got to worry about housing. They're worried.
We now go to Tom Maoli with his reaction, founder and CEO of Celebrity Motor Cars. Tom, thanks for being back with us. It's great to have you.
How are you? Good to see you.
Good, thank you. So let's start with a 4-day work week. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, listen, I'd like a 4-day work week. I mean, I don't know. I'm a car dealer and we work 6-7 days a week.
Right.
Listen, what the United Auto Workers is asking for is unsustainable. And I understand why. I mean, they're concerned about the electric vehicle market and where robotics is going and where all of this is going. And, listen, Bernie Sanders has some good points, but the reality of it is he needs to peel back the onion and look at what's going on here. We're in an environment where the government is pushing this EV mandate, which is absurd. Mm-hmm. No one wants it. The infrastructure is not there. The consumers don't want it. And the United Auto Workers, what they're trying to do is they're trying to demand a piece of the profits. Now, if I were head of Ford, GM, Chrysler, I'd be sitting down with the unions and I'd say, you want a piece of the profits? There's a couple options. You can go out and you can buy shares, right? You can make an investment in the company and you can buy shares because it's a public company, or we'll give you a piece of the profits. But guess what? When we go the other way and the industry goes the other way, these people forget that in pre-COVID, these companies were losing billions of dollars and they were still getting their paychecks. So they need to put an adjustable pay scale in place. You can't have a 40% increase in wages and a cut of 26% of the work hours in the week. It doesn't work. Yeah. And what you're going to do is you're going to force the manufacturer to start pushing production outside of the United States, into Mexico, into China, which is what we're trying to avoid here. We're trying to bring that back. So they're really just shooting themselves in the foot. And I think they need to understand what they're doing. Yes, do they deserve a piece of the profits? Do they deserve a pay increase? Absolutely. But we're in an 8 to 10% inflationary environment in the United States of America. What makes them believe they're entitled to a 40% pay increase?
Yeah, it is quite a bit. And mind you, a lot of these people are probably the ones that voted for Biden, but that's a whole other story. But more importantly than all of that, how do you think the UAW strike is ultimately going to financially impact the economy? What does this look like bigger picture?
Well, listen, it's going to be devastating. If it goes past 2 weeks, it's going to be devastating. It's shutting down production. And the biggest issue, and, I was on several news stations this morning and yesterday and over the weekend having the same conversation. The real big issue here is going to be parts. Autos, dealerships have at least a 45 to 60-day supply of vehicles. We can get through this cycle if it doesn't go more than months. But the biggest issue is parts. If you don't have parts, people can't get their cars repaired. And that means they can't get their cars back on the road to get to work, to get their kids to school. And we're talking about shutting down the transportation system. This could be economically very devastating to the U.S.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's just such a clear example of how bad policy can just obliterate the economy and drive job losses. How long do you see this going on, Tom? I mean, what are the long-term effects of this as far as auto sales are concerned? Should we expect yet another massive increase in sticker prices on new and used vehicles as well?
Well, listen, it's all supply and demand. It's basic economics 101. Yes, if the supply goes down, the demand is still there. The prices are going to go up. But what's going to happen is the used car market is going to skyrocket. So people can't come in. They can't get a new car. They're going to be looking at used cars. The price of used cars is going to skyrocket. And, I don't know where I would really like to know where the Biden administration is on this. Yeah. They're just staying neutral. They're staying out of it. And they're a large cause of this. They started this EV mandate, and it's pushing the United Auto Workers buttons to say, wait a minute, we're going to be put out of jobs. You're taking this. Look at what just happened this morning with Tesla. They just announced that they're going to open this huge plant overseas in India. And, what does that do? What does that show the United Auto Workers? They're just going to continue to dig their heels in because they're in a panic.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And it really is concerning that the Biden administration is nowhere to be found on the issue, as you mentioned. But who do you think ultimately wins in this case? Is this a quiet victory for Elon Musk and Tesla, as you sort of alluded to? I mean, is this forced conversion ultimately toward electric vehicles?
Well, not really, because, it may seem that way on the surface, but the consumer has to go in and they got to cut the check and they got to buy that vehicle, and they don't want electric vehicles. They're not buying into it. The adoption is a very slow process. The infrastructure is not there. We're talking years. So, yeah, is Musk a winner? Yeah, on the surface, it looks like he's a big winner. But where he's winning is overseas. He's winning in India. He's winning in China. He's got the support of those people. They're throwing money at his electric vehicles. That's where all his growth is. It's not in the U.S. And, the Biden administration needs to look at this, and they need to look at what it does to the economy, what it does to the employment rate, what it does to the average American who has to pay their bills. Their mortgages are skyrocketing, their car payments are skyrocketing. He's got to step in and he's got to stop this electric vehicle craziness and mandate. Let the river take its course. People will spend their money where they want to spend it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just disgusting to see the continued push for these electric vehicles when we have no means to actually move forward. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the resources. It's just completely preposterous. So I would like to see him turn that around, although I'm not hopeful that he will. Are you?
Well, I don't think he's going to. I think he's asleep at the wheel. He's probably on the beach somewhere. But the reality of it is the government just came out this morning and they're giving several $1 billion to a Chinese company to open up a battery plant in the U.S. I mean, it's bizarre. Why are we giving money to Chinese companies when we have U.S. workers that are on the picket line? What are we doing here? I mean, it is completely backwards.
It is completely backwards, and I would like to add to that it's they were awarded, the Chinese battery company, was awarded over $500 million in American taxpayer dollars. So this is our money that is funding this. It is just completely insane. I mean, where is the logic here? It makes no sense to me. I don't understand it.
There's no logic at all. If we were going to fund the company, we should have funded a U.S.-based company, and we should have had U.S. workers build those batteries. Now we gave it to China again, which is what we're doing with the EV mandate anyway. Yeah. All of these minerals, 80% of these minerals come out of China. We're losing control of our transportation system. We've lost control of our military. We've lost control of our technology, and now we're going to lose control of our transportation, which is basically the backbone of America in the USA. If we lose transportation and they control our transportation, we got a big issue.
We sure do. It just seems like the latest intentional collapse ultimately for America. And I don't know how much longer this is sustainable, but it'll certainly be interesting to see how it pans out in the future. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time.
Great to see you.
You too.
We'd like to welcome you to our new home for uncensored news and hard-hitting talk shows. If you're tired of cable companies and social media giants chipping away at your most basic and important right, freedom of speech, by shadow banning, demonetizing, censoring, and policing every single one of your posts, then One America News on Locals is just what you've been looking for. Finally, you'll have the freedom to express your point of view and stay connected with like-minded fellow patriots. And the best part is, OAN on locals is only $5 a month. All of our credible, honest, unbiased reporting, ad-free talk shows, and exclusive content, all at the fraction of the cost of cable. So to watch, just click the join button to get the news you can't get anywhere else.